Hey guys, what's up? It's Sam. Thank you for joining me today. I am a signed agency model in New York City and Philadelphia, as well as a content creator on social media. So today I want to talk about what I wish I knew before I started modeling. Disclaimer, this is in no way, shape, or form complaints about modeling. These are just simply things I really do wish that I knew prior. I personally love modeling. I love my agencies, I love my agents, and I really love doing it. I think this is what I'm meant to do. But with that being said, there are definitely things that I wish that I knew before I started, and I figured I would share them with you guys because I do wish that I saw a video like this when I was getting into the industry or before I got into the industry, just to have a heads up. So I've been modeling now for 2 years. Actually, it'll be 2 years in January. I've been with my agency in Philadelphia for 2 years, and then I have been with my New York agency August, September, October, December, for about 5-6 months. So let's get into it. The number one misconception I feel like with modeling is just because you're signed does not mean you're guaranteed work. Just because you sign to an agency does not mean that all of a sudden you have a ton of jobs coming in and all this. I actually, like I said, I've been modeling for 2 years, started in January. So the year I started, it was January, and then March COVID happened, so we were shut down for a while, and I did get a couple jobs before that, but obviously when I first started I wasn't getting anything because of COVID. So when the industry started to pick up again after COVID and everything, I was a lot busier. But COVID aside, I have heard and was told by a lot of people, when you first get signed, typically, this isn't everyone, because I do know people that sign right away and all of a sudden they have tons of jobs and they're super busy. From what I've heard, that's not the standard. At least for me, it took a little bit to get very consistent work. I've had work once in a while, but to get really consistent work, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to build these connections and to kind of get your clients in order and all that. So sometimes it takes a little bit to be on the website before you start really making money. And unfortunately too, like I said, getting signed is such a big deal. It's a really huge deal and it's something that you should definitely celebrate, but just because you're signed doesn't mean that the agency even will make you any money. It's really not guaranteed. And that's one thing that I feel like people don't really know. Another thing I didn't realize when I started is that a lot of models, unless you are signed to multiple agencies and you are able to work full-time, a lot of models do modeling on the side and have other jobs as well. I have a friend that's a model who's a physician assistant. I have friends that model that do engineering. I have a lot of friends that work from home and also model. So a lot of people do modeling in conjunction with another job, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing if you do have another job and maybe you didn't know that, and now that opens the door for you for modeling. But if it is something that you wanted to do full-time, it's not impossible. Personally, right now, I am full-time, but I'm full-time in conjunction. I don't know why I'm saying in conjunction, like that word, I never say that. I'm doing modeling full-time with content creation. So I would say about half of my income comes from each, and together they are my income. I don't know honestly if I would be able to be considered full-time if I was only modeling. Like I said, I've only been doing it for 2 years. I have a lot of friends that have been in it longer than me, and it does seem to, the longer that you're in it, the more clients you get and the more jobs that you get. Okay, also, full-time does not mean 9 to 5 when you're a model. Modeling can be on the weekends, it can be at night. I actually just had a shoot that was 3 to 8. So the time frame is a lot different, and full-time also doesn't mean 5 days a week. Some people that I know that were full-time models that I've worked with on set, I asked them okay, if you're considered full-time, how many days a week do you work? And the rule of thumb is the one guy I was talking to is with 6 agencies, and he would work 3 to 4 days a week, and that was considered full-time. There's a lot of things too with modeling. You could be booked, let's say you had 2 weeks straight where you're booked 4 days in a row. Then the next 2 weeks you could have no jobs at all, and that's the one thing with modeling too. It is very inconsistent and you never really know when you're gonna have jobs, and you never know when your next one is. But that's okay. I'm very go with the flow, and you kind of have to be when it comes to this kind of stuff. So yeah, full-time is kind of however much money you're making that you feel comfortable with, I would say. For me, honestly, I just want to be as busy as possible, you know what I mean? So whatever that would look like is what I would want to be full-time. Obviously, with a normal job, you would get paid every other Friday, every 2 weeks. With modeling, they have up to 3 months. So that's another thing to keep in mind if you have rent to pay and bills to pay, like most of us do. Yeah, they can take up to 90 days, and sometimes they do. So it's very important to like keep that in consideration too, and make sure that you have a certain amount of money set aside for bills and rent and food and all that. Another thing I didn't know when I first started is that you never really work with the same people. I mean, I've had shoots with the same girl. My one girl, shout out Ashley, I work with her a lot. We get paired together a lot, but even by a lot, I mean, we've been modeling for 2 years and I would say we've been on set together 7 or 8 times. So it is so not like a job where you go in 5 days a week and you're sitting around with the same people, which is nice in a way. Like, it was a really big adjustment for me coming from college where I lived with roommates and I was on a team where I saw people consistently every day, to having a job where on the days that you're not working, you're kind of by yourself, and then when you are working, you're usually with new people, and if you like someone a lot, like necessarily you might not ever see them again work-wise. I like follow everyone on social media and we have like met outside of work, but work-wise, there's like a pretty good chance that you may work with someone one time and never again. Okay. You also have to literally be so adaptable and you can't complain. Like, for example, a lot of times for modeling in the summer we shoot winter, and in the winter we shoot summer. So for example, I had to shoot this summer on a day where it was like literally 105 degrees outside and we were shooting hoodies all day and like we were drenched in sweat, but that's just how it works. It's kind of like you just have to deal with it and like you just have to suck it up. And like that on the flip side, I just modeled with a girl this week who was doing a commercial for Yingling actually, and it was a summer commercial, and obviously it's December, it's really cold out, and they were outside in shorts and t-shirts and it was like getting dark outside and they had to pretend and act like they weren't cold. So you do get put in a lot of situations like that. I've done an athletic shoot before. I actually was doing ladders in the pouring rain, and like as a model, you wouldn't expect that to be your job, but like one day it was mine. You kind of just have to be like up for anything and be a good sport about it. And I kind of like how crazy it is and how different it can be, but it can definitely be challenging at times too. Another thing with modeling is you have to be super proactive and advocate for yourself. Like, this is an industry where you're basically your own boss, so no one's gonna push you to better yourself and stay in shape or invest in getting new images to get to your agent to open up hopefully more opportunities to jobs, and want to make sure you're as prepared as you possibly can be. When you're with a client, you want to make sure that you really try and establish a good connection with them. You want to make sure you're very respectful all the time, all those things. A lot of those things are very important. I think your personality in modeling is just as important as how you look on camera, because no one wants to work with someone that has a bad attitude or isn't bringing the energy that they want. In general, people want to be surrounded by positivity, and networking in this industry is so important. Like I said, I think that a lot of times I get booked or rebooked because of the connection that I make with the client. I think that the images usually turn out fine as well, but I do think that that is such a key component. Okay, another thing that like I literally did not know, you don't have off like ever. Like, you always have to be on go. You always have to be ready. For castings and stuff, like if you get an email at like 8 p.m, they expect you to answer. If they email you about a job at night, in the morning, on the weekend, they expect you to be responsive and they expect you to be available. Like, the craziest thing that's ever happened to me, I would say, is when I was at New York Fashion Week and I got booked for a job on Sunday morning, on Saturday night. So like, it's so not like on Friday at 5 you clock off. You constantly have to be prepared and ready to be booked or have a job. Okay, another huge misconception is it is so not glamorous the way people think it is. Like, the situations that I've been in for modeling are so funny. Like, I've gotten changed in the back of a sweaty van like more times than I can count. I've gotten changed for a really big client who I will not name behind a dumpster before. You kind of just have to like be okay with what they throw at you and know that things like that happen. It's like a lot of situations that aren't near as glamorous as people make it out to be, and there is parts of it that are, but trust me, there is a lot that is like not. Oh, another thing. Okay, this is something that I would have never ever known before I started modeling, and when I say it, I've never really said this to anyone because it's kind of like, yeah, okay, but I swear, like, when you're modeling a certain thing, I had to do a hand modeling job once for a car seat company, and I had to hold my arm out like this and put my hand here for so long long, like 20 minutes probably, and it was just like a very uncomfortable position. You will get weirdly sore and have to stretch in weird certain ways, and you'll go home and the next day you'll be like incredibly sore in weird certain areas. So it is just like kind of crazy sometimes. But yeah, I think that that is all the things I wish I knew before I started modeling, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it entertaining. If you liked this and you want to see more from me about modeling or content creation or anything else, please like and subscribe and follow me on socials. I will leave my handles on the side. Thank you guys for watching, and I will be back again soon. Happy Vlogmas.